Hi, everybody. This is Nate. Welcome to Meet the Psychic Press. And I wanted today to welcome Tammy and Sonal with me, who will be asking me questions. So I'm delighted to have you. Thank you so much to take the time. I also wanted to share with the community that this is a unique opportunity for you to be part of the show. So if you want to ask me questions in a future episode, please email me and you'll have an opportunity as well to be with me like we are doing today. So again, Tammy and Sonal, thank you so much for being here and willing to ask me a few questions. And maybe before we get started, you want to share a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you got here with me today. Tammy, you want to get started? Yeah.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Tammy, and I'm a project manager, artist, functional medicine studier, and I've just recently been getting interested in all things psychic as a way to kind of balance the energies that are kind of bombarding us with the news and everything. So, yeah, I've been following Nathe and several other psychics, and just I'm really excited to have a chance to actually ask questions that I think many people probably have.
Tammy, and did you share, Tammy, where you're located?
Oh, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah.
Wonderful. And then we have Sonal. Hello.
Hi, my name is Sonal, and I'm in the Southwest. I'll just say that. And we moved here from the East Coast, so it's been an interesting shift. I have a healing practice, and I do interdimensional healing. So it's a combination of energy work, and I also use light and frequency and um, sound to help move energy and help people to sort of align with their purpose, their life purpose, and their some of the blockages that they have in this particular incarnation. And I what else? Like there's so much. I do so many things. So what else was I going to say? Um, that's it. I'm happy to be here because I was just telling Nate and Tammy that this is a this is a fantastic forum. I feel like this allows the community to come in and share information and really build community. Also, yeah, how did I find Nate? I found Nate when you were doing your 2025 predictions, and I found it to be interesting because you have a viewpoint from an international perspective. And I think that there's something, the essence of reality that you have to face, especially for people that live in the United States versus the people that can see things about the United States from another, part of the world. So I think it offers a different and unique perspective. So I like this.
Thank you.
That's
That's
it.
very nice of you. Sonal, do you want me to put your website or your information with the video?
Sure. I mean, my website is a work in progress, but I have an email address and I usually take contacts and patients or clients from that.
Okay, so I'll use
So
that.
it's a holistic practice. So I have a lot of, yeah, I'll sure, whatever you want to do, we'll
I
talk.
I will add that to the description of the video if people want to contact you.
Okay. Sounds great.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So we are gonna get started with our questions, and I will invite Tammy to get your first question.
Okay. Um, let's see. So I'm curious about what percentage of Trump's voters from the last election have now lost faith in his ability to capably represent them as president. And this second point, part of that would be a follow up would be, will a significant number of them ever join the ongoing resistance protests, and who will be president? Who will be president of the country when that happens?
This is very interesting. What I'm getting here is that I feel like there's been some sort of a shakeup within the Maga community. The card suggests that they're a little bit in a shock and in disappointment, both. The main disappointment I do feel is related to the economy more than anything, because this is particularly when it comes to the purchasing power, the ability to buy, the cost of living. I just show this card here, the Five of Pentacles. This is a card of not having enough money, struggling with money. And so the card suggests that there is a portion of the MAGA people that feel the pinch financially in their everyday lives. And honestly, this is not going to get better. This is, in my view, only going to get worse. This is where it hurts the most in the day-to-day expenses. And so I feel you ask me an example, a percentage or a proportion. I would say, from what I see here, it's interesting because it's 5 to 10% would be um, the population of MAGA or people who voted for Trump that is disappointed from that standpoint. I feel like this is gonna increase. Would they make still the same decision today? Maybe, but at least the confidence has decreased. So we're on the right track for them to kind of feel a certain reality. And then I would kind of end with a point here is that in order for the electorate to shift towards the Democrats, we don't need all of MAGA to shift. We need 5, 10%, 15%. That's all we need, actually. That's the good news here. And so this is what I see in the cards is encouraging because it's not a huge percent, 5, 10%. But as it is, if there would be a vote and if they were voting based on a disappointment, this would be enough to shift the balance towards the other side. And so I think there's a message of hope here. It's a good sign.
Great.
It's not a good sign that the economy hasn't recovered and it's not getting better and the prices are going to get higher and higher. But it actually shows a certain reality for a vote for people who voted because for Trump because the price of eggs was too high. Well, guess
Mhm.
what? It's not just going to be eggs, it's going to be everything.
Yeah, and it
Okay,
is.
great. Nate, do you see any of the former MAGAs or the current MAGAs actually joining the resistance protests in the future?
That
And
was
like,
your, that was your second question, and
mm,
I'm not seeing just that. And
mm,
so it's a multi-step process. It's going from possibly, for example, voting for Trump to maybe not voting.
mhm.
And then some of them might go from not voting to joining the resistance. But even those steps are going into the right direction, losing support. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Sonal?
Yeah, so I live in a swing state, and I'm curious specifically to Arizona. Um, the local officials are up for reelection in 2026, and I think what's held this state together for the most part is that their legislation, their governor, the Secretary of State, those offices are held by Democrats. So I'm curious if this is going to sustain in 2026. If it looks like the governor will remain a Democrat and the Secretary of State, and I think it's the attorney, the what's his name, Adrian Fontes. He's the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, Chris Mays. All of these people are Democrats, and they're up for reelection in 2026.
I would say from what I see in Arizona, yes, I do see them staying. But I also get a little bit of a warning here with the devil cards because I think the Republicans are going to play real dirty. And I
Right.
feel like there's going to be lies, the usual lies, attacks, things thrown out, false
Okay.
rumors. And that was the first card that I got, so that worries me, but the outcome is positive. That's why I
Okay.
finished with it. But I feel for some reason because the Republicans know that they might not be able to win again, they might throw some really dirty things, particularly for these re-elections.
Yeah, that is definitely true. It's just that it's interesting because I've seen the shift, you know, from 2020 to 2024. You've just had a lot more people who were diehard Trump supporters shift. And, you know, it's not as visible, but I mean, it looks promising. So we'll see
Good.
because it's really, I mean, I think it'll remain purple, but it really makes a difference in terms of some of the local legislation that's passed here, specific to education and some of these other things. So, and law enforcement, it's nuts. I mean, it's crazy. Anyway, that was, you know, and this was quite a Trump MAGA conspiracy type
Area.
of place. Yeah. So that's good. That's promising.
Tammy?
Okay, let's see. I'm going to take a different route. Interest in this one. Will the US lose its chance to take the lead in developing technologies to solve climate change? And when will demand return for US tech companies to produce technologies in this space?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I have
What was
college graduates who are interested in these fields. Yeah.
Yeah.
what's interesting is, and I first got some visions and got confirmed with the cards, is that while the current government and the leadership are obviously not only not supporting the work towards fighting climate change or even going backwards, I feel like there's still a lot of work being done in the private sector, scientists in the private sectors, the research, the interest from the younger generations. And I see like developments in the science that is continuing. So that I feel like is very good news because the political side, we know it's completely shutting down grants and the government support. But it's not just government. There's a public sector as
Mhm.
well. And there's a competitive sector, and it's actually also a business. And so when it comes to that, I feel like the energies in the US in particular is very strong, and I see advancement in science, advancement in the private sector. One of the cards that I got was strengths, for example. So
Good.
it is a bit positive. It's just that there's no help from the government. We know that a lot of those grants for universities have been shut down and all that. But there's also a strong private sector, and I feel like they're going to make a lot of progress too.
Do you see investment continuing at the same levels as it was, like the curve, the demand and the level of investment? Will it maintain that same level even with this administration? And will there still be jobs available to new college graduates, or do you see a downturn in that in the near future?
Short term, there's a downturn.
Okay.
Short term, I feel like, and if you are a college graduate or parent of a college graduate or grandparent of a college graduate, you know that those doors are closing more than they're opening. I know
Hmm.
some, so I know it's true. What was very interesting is I have the world card here. And so I feels almost like I would like to tell them maybe there are opportunities in different universities in other places in the world where they temporarily could go for 3 years, 2 years somewhere,
Hmm.
learn, and then come back to the US with an international experience.
Awesome.
It
Thank
could
you.
be an opportunity, yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Good insight.
Okay. So sticking to technology, I suspect. Um, Palantir, Peter Thiel's baby, his uh backdoor JD Vance, who is probably destined to be in the presidency for a short period of time. What is the future of Palantir?
And that is what that is the
It's the AI tech, the
yes.
surveillance. They've just recently gotten all of the federal contracts, and they're, his whole this goes hand in hand with the other question that I have. So one is on Rockbridge, which is similar. It's the right wing political viewpoint of including like it's a political tech type of vision that they have, and that's a little scarier. So I'm going scary, scary, and then
Oh,
I'll go.
okay. Let's start with the first one, and
Yeah,
we
do
can.
Palantir. Palantir is the surveillance um, that they want to expand. Oh God, Nathe, I don't even know if I want to know the answer, but
It's a two-part answer. I feel like there's so much of a push for it, Ace of Wands. This is like they're pushing those surveillance, they're pushing this technology. I really don't like the card of the magician because this magician feels like he's playing with fire. And I think with
yeah,
AI and surveillance, it's like the combination of both doesn't feel good to me. However, Five of Swords, there's some resistance. And I think the resistance, the sword, usually to me, when I see the sword, feels like also there's legal aspects here, privacy.
right. Well,
So,
that is what has been the intrusion. They want to expand on the surveillance that they had originally when they were cracking down. I think it was during the Bush era, where they were looking at, terrorist activity using various surveillance type of techniques. That's my understanding. I'd have to research
mhm.
this a little bit more,
I
but
think,
they want to expand that to private citizens,
and I
right?
feel like there's going to be a push to expand, and there's going to be a resistance and a fight, and some of it will be in the courts. So it's kind of good and bad at the same time.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
So then you want to get to the next
I
company.
can ask the Rockbridge press. Okay, so Rockbridge is a little scarier. So unfortunately, it is I just want to make sure that I have this information correct so that I don't. So this is Rockbridge is a conservative donor political advocacy network co-founded by JD Vance. It aims to influence US politicians by backing right-wing media, and it's backed by the Mercers, and a lot of the donors are also undisclosed. So what they do is they're trying to infiltrate local, um, school boards, all local government, into higher levels of government with their vision, which is a combination of both tech. It's right wing, so they want to, sort of indoctrinate education to make it
Um,
all, you know, fun, like Christian viewpoints specifically. I think they started to do some of that in Ohio. So there are places where this is really being pushed. And I'm just curious because I think it's part of the agenda for all of these
okay,
people if JD Vance should come in office. So,
a great question. So the first company, it's interesting. The first company we're looking at the combination of AI and surveillance. Now we're
correct.
looking at tech, education, media.
Right. Yeah. It's worse than that. If you don't know what it is, please research it and make sure that because it's really frightening.
This plan is moving forward. They're not going to stop here. They have
Great.
this agenda. It is moving forward. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that we don't know. And we should talk. I'm glad that you brought up the question because we don't talk a lot of I don't talk about it on my show. So I appreciate that you did. The Five of Wands tell me there's going to be a lot of fighting on this because it feels like the energy I get from this, it feels even more, it's scarier to use your word, but it feels even more obvious to people the risk and how dangerous this is. The
Yeah.
education part and the right-wing Christian connected with tech feels very awful. And this is not, people can see that this would be a terrible outcome I get the sense as well, like with the other question, that there will be a resistance. This one, I don't see so much in court, but I see in the people side of saying, no, we don't want to use this. We don't want this in our schools. We don't want, etc.
Okay. That's good to know. That's hopeful. I mean, you're not going to be able to stop some of these people. I mean, they have a lot of money. They've been doing this for, whatever, the Koch brothers, the Mercers. It's been back and forth. So many of these, I don't know.
I know.
No comment.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Thank you. Tammy?
Yeah, so following up on your Ohio kind of question, I'm curious, will members of the trans community in Ohio be forced to take safety precautions due to the growing anti-trans attitude? And how long will it be before this community receives the same level of rights and respect as everyone else in our country?
It feels very, very hard for the trans community. What I see here with this card, the Eight of Cups, this is a card of almost like having to escape this situation because it's so scary. And so I felt like your question was, what's going to happen to the community, or will they feel at risk? The answer is yes, unfortunately. Uh,
Mm,
I feel also that there will be some tragedies that are coming because people don't feel safe, and I certainly hope that we're gonna be avoiding this, but you've been noticing how the tensions are rising,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
communities are brought against one another, and it's concerning. It is concerning. From what I see here, it's concerning. I would just say that we have to help the community as much, every community, because it's all of us. We're one.
Mhm.
Literally, we are one. And so we have to help the ones that are the most at risk. I do feel though that particularly after the midterms, s- there will be ways to improve the legal protections, the in the laws, but the protection from how people react, how people behave on a day-to-day basis. That is more of a culture and mentality. And that's going to take a longer term to change because Trump enabled people to act this way, to bully, to
Mhm.
harass. And
Use
so
them as a scapegoat.
to
Mhm.
use them as a scapegoat, very, very much like in the 1930s and etc. And so unfortunately, we're not going to see improvement soon. There will be improvement in the laws, but I'm concerned that the whole culture change is going to take even longer. We made a lot of progress for social progress and social justice, but we went backwards. And so we're going to have to rebuild our way forward, and that takes years.
Okay, yours. All right, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
wow.
Sonal, yes, you next.
Okay, so do we want to still stay in the muck, in the scary stuff?
For a little bit.
Okay. All right, so here we go. This is a two-parter. One is it okay, we're going to the Epstein land. Is that okay? All right. Is he was he hired or did he work for Mossad?
Was Epstein hired?
Was he working for Mossad?
Yeah. I'm not getting a yes here. So
Okay.
I would feel like no. Were there connections? Yes, of course. But working for is a specific question where you've been given a responsibility, potentially paid, potentially with a mission, and it doesn't feel this way. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's my two-parter. So it's very clear that a lot of the Senate and possibly the House I'm going to say definitely the Republican side, but I know the Democrats are also compromised in this. How much um, let's just say, how much are they endowed? Like, how much do they sort of get from Israel? From, how do I say this question? It seems to me that, we're constantly, Israel is our ally, but there's just this, there's such a dichotomy at this moment because we're watching a real life, you know, human tragedy occurring in genocide in Gaza. And I just find it interesting. I'm just asking. I think the only way that I can ask this is what, just sort of like what Tammy said, but if you can get a percentage of the senators that are compromised uh, by Israel, by
So,
Netanyahu particularly, I
okay,
should just
okay,
say
I understand.
directly him. That's who I'll say.
That are compromised with a certain element of corruption.
Yes, that they're voting. That
Yes.
there's just no question based on the way in which they're voting, the way in which they are constantly.
Okay. And you're talking,
They're simply going along with this idea that they're going to make the West Bank. What was it? I just saw something. Unfortunately, I had to go down this rabbit hole. That they're talking about annihilate, annexing the West Bank.
well, with the
So
plan.
they're having a meeting. That's what it was. Rubio was
Yes.
going to meet to talk about annexing the West Bank.
Well, there's also the plan with where Trump talks about the Riviera and building the
Right.
Riviera
That's my
there.
point.
That's yes,
Yes.
yes,
I
yes.
mean, how can anybody just sit there and think, okay, yes, that's a great idea? So I'm just
Uh,
curious how many of these senators, I mean, it's also the Democrats. I know it's both, but I'm curious
across, so you talk
what the
about
cards say.
across Congress and the Senate, just the whole. Yeah. I don't think I would give a particular number, but what I have though is interesting. Um, the lovers talks about those connections,
Contracts. Yeah.
contracts, connections. The King of Swords, we're talking about, it's not, I think I would respond to you that it's not necessarily the number of people, but the influential ones, the ones with power, the one that influence others. In other words, like I feel, same thing with the Hierophant, that there have been seeds that have been planted in the really influential Congress members, senators that can convince others. And it's not necessarily like the number of them that have been corrupted, but it's key influential players that are bringing people with them to go along. And so, almost what I see in this vision is there's certainly an element of corruption, but it's almost like a pyramid scheme where one individual has a way to corrupt the others,
Right.
and so
Right.
on and so forth. And so there's a multiplication.
Mm,
It's not
mm.
necessarily direct.
Okay.
And so I feel like it's actually, I would answer that it's actually limited in the direct influence, but this influence are with key people that have their own influence where they bring their own people with them. So, for example, if you don't go along for this plan, I might not help you get reelected.
Mm,
You
gotcha.
know, and so it doesn't, the story here is that it doesn't take that many people.
Mm,
If you reach out to the key influential ones, particularly I feel on the Senate,
right.
and then you kind of bring along the whole party or certain members of the party who have particular interests. That's true in the Republican side. That's true in the Democrat side. I feel actually it's across parties that there are some basically like for any other like any other industry, a lobby There's a
Yeah.
form of lobby.
Right.
So it is present, it is influential, and it's probably why right now we have, you rightfully mentioned it, we have Rubio in Israel, we have this plan with Jared, with Trump's, with trying to put this plan in place. And I think if I remember, like they would give like $5,000 for Palestinian to leave, and basically trying to, it's a form of
Bribe.
corruption,
Right.
bribe
Right.
you, yeah.
Bribe. Right.
So there's a lot going on there. But yes, I feel like there's clearly a form of lobbying, a form of influence, a form of corruption. Thank you.
Yuck.
Thank you. Tammy, you wanted to switch subject?
Yeah, let's see. Um, I'm wondering, kind of building off that a little bit. So, um, was Epstein involved at all with Russia, or
Hmm.
Epstein or the NRA? Did Russia use Epstein or the NRA at any point to gain influence over members of the Senate or Congress?
So I just asked my cards Epstein and Russia, and I got the lovers. So clearly there's a connection there. I'm not surprised. Um, and I feel like that's what Putin is so has so much control because he has information on Trump and the connection with Epstein. So I think this is very clear. This one, it was a clear response. The NRA, so the same question with the NRA and Epstein?
No, NRA and Russia. Did Russia use
Oh,
the NRA to gain influence over the
oh,
GOP in the
interesting.
past? Not recently, but in the past.
So gross.
I know, but
They might as well just be in the government, like they probably already are.
I'm
They're
not
just
saying
so infiltrated.
I'm
Sorry.
not saying as clear as a connection, but the high priestess tells me that there were secrets, so things going on in the background, but it doesn't feel as much as a connection. Yeah,
hmm, okay, thank you.
yeah, of
I
course.
always wondered that.
Okay, I'll make one light question that's kind of, it's just curious for me. So we RFK Jr., um, his wife, she's like big in Hollywood, right? I think her name's Cheryl Hines. She was on the Curb Your Enthusiasm show, that series. I'm curious because at what's happening with her, like what is going on? Why would she even still stay with him after everything that this man has done to the health industry? A, or one, and B, like she has friends that were in Hollywood, and this is like
Mm.
this is nuts.
Okay,
I'm wondering how they're feeling towards her. I'm wondering how she's feeling towards. I know that's like a gossipy question, but I'm just curious. I don't understand these women that stay with these guys. Like it's disgusting.
okay. The first card I got is the Two of Cups. This is usually a romantic card, but for me, this screams a contract. And then the Seven of Pentacles, money,
Oh my God.
which you're not surprised.
I'm not, but you know what? I still can be disgusted. It's not,
So it's
God, on
clear
behalf of
that
women everywhere. Really? Sick.
so there's some form of agreement and contract, and there's a financial aspect to it. I think it's very clear. Yeah,
Ugh. Okay.
yeah.
That was my gossipy question.
It
Had
was
to
an
get out
easy
of the
question,
weeds.
actually.
Yeah.
It was Tammy, you're
Okay.
next.
Um, yeah, let's see. I was curious, did Trump get poisoned or harmed somehow when he met Putin in Alaska?
Oh,
I think I heard some rumors of that.
I'm not seeing that.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'll just do one last. Okay, I know everybody wants to know when these files are going to come out or these pictures or these anythings, and I believe that it'll happen through a means that we're probably not, um, someplace that we're not expecting because it's the astrology of Pluto and Aquarius. I mean, if anybody knows what that is, but it's just like unraveling the truth. The truth will always be seen. So I'm curious. Okay, this is my question. What about the boys? I know they talk a lot about the women that were trafficked, but there had to be boys that were trafficked as well. Will we ever hear any mention of some of these children that were of the male orientation that will come out?
Good question. The star, yes, but it's further down the road. It's interesting. Look, a boy.
That's, oh God, I can't.
So yes, and sadly, it's the Page of Pentacles, a boy with money, meaning like there's a money aspect to this, sadly, which we also not surprised. But it seems like it's in the longer term. I think right now the focus is very much on girls, women, young women or girls. Yeah.
How is Trump's family seen? How are they seen after this information comes out and it's very clear that their father engaged in these types of acts and now the public knows it? How are they seen? Because they clearly know.
They know.
Oh God, don't tell me.
It's always it's always easy when the thing that's difficult is our first thoughts are not like them, but when we actually try to think like them, it's very easy. So of course there's an emotional aspect, but look at those cards. King of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles, this is money, this is what they care for, this is what they see, this is how they think. And that I think is what their main motivations is keeping the money, keeping the business. They're afraid of justice, they're afraid of women, Queen of Swords. But right now their main thing is how we have to support because of the empire, yeah, the connections, the financial connections and all that. So it's a different mind.
I have a
Wow.
bit of a follow-up on the
Yes.
same question. Did anyone benefit financially from trafficking the immigrant children who were locked up at the border during Trump's first administration?
I thought you were to talk about the one that came to mind is I've always have a thought is the Ukraine children.
Oh,
But that's very similar in a way, but different as well. But
yeah.
yes,
Well,
sorry.
what I'm wondering is, yeah, did anyone in the Trump administration benefit financially from the children who were taken away from their parents at the border during his first administration?
The answer that I got was yes, from the point of view that they had shares in the companies that were building the cages and whatnot, the
Hmm.
infrastructure. And so it was their benefit to put more children in those camps because those companies made a lot of money and they had investments.
Hmm.
So it's not from the trafficking itself,
Okay,
it's
that's
from the
good.
situation. Yes.
Yeah, that's good though.
Well,
I mean, it's
it's
better.
better. It's
At least they were
yes,
being
yes,
used for the absolute
I
worst
understand
possible.
what you mean. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Should we end with some more spiritual questions?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Okay, here's my spiritual question. Okay, I know this seems like a dark time. I understand. Like I get the fear. I totally understand that people are going through a really, really rough time with everything that they're being exposed to. And like I said to you guys earlier, watching the news, I don't really watch even that much or even follow. So watching it to prep, get some questions, it's horrifying. Anyhow, the question that I have is since these are the darker ages, through the Renaissance era, we also had so many new inventions and creations. And I'm wondering during this is what I consider some of the dark ages. And I believe true leaders emerged during this time. And there's a lot of positivity that comes out of this. It's not as if it's all just horrific. So maybe, can you just maybe pull some cards and see what innovations or maybe some what positivity comes from this time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the thing that I see is you're absolutely right that this is during times of suffering that great things come through, and so we cannot forget that. I feel that it's interesting because the technology with AI, even though we discuss all the scary aspect
Sure.
to it, but there's also some positive aspect. And to me, I've always seen two aspects that are related to communication. The first one is communication using AI technologies to develop a language where pets and animals can actually communicate with us and vice versa.
Oh,
Hmm.
wow.
So that is, and we are not too far from that. But the other aspect of communication, and that I see is, and it's really fascinating, but I think it's a little bit further down. It's also a communication aspect, but with our ancestors and spirits on the other side. It's almost like the way that it's been shown to me, it's equivalent of taking a telephone and be able to, if your mom is on the other side, talk to your mom on the other side, but with that sort of telephone.
Wow.
So where
That's
the
cool.
medium psychic is replicated in a way where anyone can actually use the AI abilities to connect with the spirit entity from the soul that has passed. And that is just crazy.
Do you have
Awesome.
do you have any idea how long that will be approximately? Like
When
a
I've looked
decade
into
or?
this, well, yeah, I feel like it's scary, but I feel like it's 10, 15 years. I feel like we'll be there, especially the animal stuff. I think it's like 5 years.
Hmm,
Wow.
amazing. I have a follow-up question to that. It's that how long will it be before just regular people can use AI to dispel the false narratives that we keep being given through like the media and our political leaders
Or
to kind of
I think it's happening today. It's happening today.
good, good.
Your question was to use AI to
Yeah,
fight
to
against.
like so the MAGA people who have been fed a bunch of lies, how long will it be before people start using AI to figure out that they've been given a bunch of lies? Like, where
Well,
the majority of the population actually finds the truth because it's right there available to them if they look for it.
that is a difficult question. Today, the reason that I answered to you today is that if you ask a factual question to AI, you get what you should expect as facts. The problem is who is behind AI.
Mhm.
Musk has been behind AI.
Yeah,
So and that was like the whole conversation we had earlier on technology with Sonal, the Vance and this connection with the tech bros to take possession of AI could change. And the risk is what we discussed earlier, that
yeah,
if you feed AI with falseness, it's like a box, what you input in, input out. And so then you could completely change the narrative, and that's the danger. And so it is very, very important that, on the Democrat side, we also look at technology and be present. And also, when there will be, when after the midterms and after a new presidency, putting laws in place to control AI, it can't be the Wild West,
Mhm.
because otherwise it turns into social media.
Yeah.
It turns into Facebook, and from what I saw, like 80% of Americans who said that they were getting their news from Facebook, if it's a lot of false news, that's what
Hmm.
if it's true. So AI would just become the same thing. That's another
Yeah,
danger. So
definitely.
it's a very risky moment with all the things that I appreciate that we talked about that with you both on technology, because we don't really talk about that a lot. It's actually one of the, I feel like the biggest danger to the world is climate change. But after that comes the use of AI.
Hmm.
That's true. I was just going to say, though, the last thing that I will add to that is critical thinking, though, is key. And I believe, at least I'm hopeful, that people will, you know, still find their creativity. I'm just saying I'm hopeful. Um, and that they will recognize that there still has to be some originality, some creativity, that you can't always just rely on AI to think for you, you know. Um, I know that it's convenient, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that creativity and originality will shine through. That's what I'm going to say.
Actually, yeah, and actually, Nathe, if you don't mind, I have one last question. It's that with the layoff and the disappearing of many jobs, how will the college graduates who come out and can't find employment, how will they use their time, and will they turn to creative fields to express themselves and find new ways of using their skills through creative outlets, or is there a source of employment or gainful independence that young adults who are graduating in the next few years will turn to if they can't find employment? Do you see anything like, can you read on that a little bit? Like, where should they be looking? What direction should they be heading in if they're having a hard time finding jobs?
I feel like something to remember about AI is AI doesn't have emotions, AI doesn't have intuition, AI is just a machine, but
Mhm.
nothing more than our creativity, to with your point. I feel like in the world of innovation, AI can support innovation, but is not the innovation
Mhm.
itself. Um, I would really suggest students or people getting into education to basically kind of doing what you were talking about in terms of originality, in terms of critical thinking, in terms of understanding the connectedness between pieces, like at an engineering level, but also at a political level, at a sociological level. And I think what is really cool with all that is what AI doesn't have. When I said doesn't have emotions, doesn't have intuition, doesn't have creativity, the one word that combines all this is the human side. And AI
Right.
will never be a human. And so,
Right.
so I would actually encourage people to go in fields where the importance of having a human, being human, matters. And that's sometimes, in a matter of evaluation, in a matter of thinking, in a matter of compassion, in a matter of AI will not be a nurse.
Mhm.
can diagnose, but
medicine, yeah.
not do the work that a nurse can do. So it really requires, because the using the example of a nurse, it's not a nurse is not just having a medical knowledge, it's having a knowledge of the relation with a person, a patient, the understanding of a particular situation. That is kind of similar to what we're saying, the human aspect. So,
Mm.
in other words, there needs to be a strong human need. Yes.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
I think it's a beautiful way to kind of end the show talking about
Mhm.
and our abilities to be human and have compassion for each other. I wanted to thank you both for the amazing questions, for also taking some questions that we have not covered in the past that were original, related to technology and international influences and putting the bigger picture into the framework. So, Tammy and Sonal, thank you so very much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
the time that you took, and thank you. And
Thank you.
I hope to hear from you again. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. It
Thanks.
was really fun.
And bye, everyone who watched. Thank you so much for your comments, your likes, your subscription, the support of the channel as always. Thank you all very, very much. Bye bye. Have a wonderful week ahead.